If you're over 60 and you've been eating dinner, brushing your teeth, and going straight to bed, you might be missing a critical window of opportunity that could be affecting your vision right now. What I'm about to share with you has changed the lives of hundreds of my patients, and it's so simple that most people can't believe they haven't heard about it before. But here's the thing, the food industry doesn't want you to know this, and most eye doctors are too busy prescribing glasses and medications to talk about it. My name is Dr. Helen Brooks, and I'm an ophthalmologist with over 20 years of experience treating age-related vision problems. I've worked with thousands of patients who came to me desperately seeking solutions for their declining eyesight, and what I've discovered through clinical observation and working closely with nutritional specialists has been nothing short of remarkable. Before we dive into this life-changing information, if you haven't subscribed yet, I strongly recommend hitting that subscribe button and turning on notifications so you never miss another health tip designed especially for you. If you find this video helpful, please leave your questions and video suggestions in the comments. I read every single one, and it helps me create more content to help more people just like you. Now let me tell you about Mr. Robert, a 72-year-old retired teacher I met 3 years ago. Robert came into my office visibly frustrated. He told me he couldn't read his favorite mystery novels anymore without straining his eyes for hours. And even worse, he'd stopped driving at night because the glare from oncoming headlights had become unbearable. His wife had been begging him to see me for months, but he kept putting it off, thinking it was just a normal part of aging. When I examined his eyes, I found early signs of macular degeneration and significant oxidative stress in his retinal tissue. But here's what changed everything for Robert. After I explained what I'm about to share with you today, he implemented this simple bedtime routine, and within 2 weeks, he called my office excited to tell me he'd finished an entire book in 3 days. 6 months later, his follow-up exams showed measurable improvement in his macular pigment density. Let me explain what's really happening to your eyes as you age, and more importantly, why the timing of what you eat matters just as much as what you eat. Your retina, the light-sensitive tissue at the back of your eye, is one of the most metabolically active tissues in your entire body. It's constantly working, processing light, converting it into electrical signals, and all of this activity generates something called free radicals. Think of free radicals as tiny sparks flying off a campfire. A few sparks are manageable, but if they're not controlled, they can cause damage. Your body has natural antioxidant defenses, but here's the problem. These defenses are weakest during the night when you're sleeping, and that's exactly when your eyes are doing critical repair and regeneration work. During deep sleep, your eyes undergo a fascinating process. Blood flow to the retina increases, cellular repair mechanisms kick into high gear, and your body attempts to clear out the metabolic waste that's accumulated during the day. But if you don't have the right nutritional building blocks available during this crucial window, your eyes can't complete this repair process effectively. It's like trying to fix a car without having the right parts in your garage. You might want to fix it, but without the materials, the repair simply won't happen. Now, I want you to think about your typical evening routine. You probably eat dinner around 6 or 7 in the evening, right? Then maybe you watch some television, read a bit, and go to bed around 10 or 11. By the time your body enters deep sleep around midnight or 1 in the morning, it's been 5 to 6 hours since you last ate. Your blood sugar has dropped, and more importantly, the antioxidants from your dinner have already been metabolized and used up by your body for other functions. Your eyes are left trying to do repair work without the essential nutrients they desperately need. This is where the magic happens, and I want you to pay close attention because this is the part that most people get wrong. About 30 to 45 minutes before you go to bed, you need to consume a specific combination of nutrients that will be available to your eyes during that critical overnight repair window. I'm not talking about a heavy meal that will disrupt your sleep. I'm talking about a carefully chosen, light snack that provides exactly what your retinal cells need to regenerate and protect themselves. Let me tell you about Mrs. Patricia, a 68-year-old woman who used to work in accounting. Patricia came to see me because she was struggling with what she called tired eyes. By mid-afternoon every day, her vision would become blurry, she'd develop headaches, and she found herself constantly rubbing her eyes. She'd tried different reading glasses, eye drops, everything she could think of, but nothing helped. Her daughter, who's a nutritionist, had read some research about evening nutrition and eye health, and that's what prompted Patricia to make an appointment with me. When I examined her, I found that her tear film quality was poor, and her retinal blood vessels showed signs of oxidative stress. I explained the concept of bedtime nutrition to her, and she was skeptical at first. She told me, quote, "Doctor, I've been eating healthy my whole life. How could the timing make such a difference?" But she was desperate for relief. so she agreed to try it. Within 1 week, Patricia called me to say her afternoon eye fatigue had decreased significantly. After 3 weeks, she told me she could work on her computer all day without the debilitating headaches she'd suffered with for years. So what exactly should you be eating before bed? The answer lies in understanding 3 critical nutrients that your eyes need for overnight repair: lutein and zeaxanthin, which are carotenoids that protect your macula; omega-3 fatty acids, which support the health of your retinal cell membranes; and a specific type of antioxidant called anthocyanins, which improve blood flow to the tiny capillaries in your eyes. Here's what I recommend to my patients, and what I do myself every single night. About 45 minutes before bed, prepare a small bowl that includes a handful of dark leafy greens. Either fresh spinach or kale work beautifully. You don't need to cook them, just wash them well. Add to this a small portion of walnuts, about 6 to 8 halves, which provide those essential omega-3 fatty acids. Then add a serving of berries. Blueberries or blackberries are ideal because they're rich in those powerful anthocyanins I mentioned. If fresh berries aren't available, frozen ones work just as well. Finally, add a small amount of Greek yogurt, or a plant-based alternative if you prefer, which helps with the absorption of the fat-soluble nutrients. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Dr. Brooks, I've always heard you shouldn't eat before bed because it disrupts sleep. And you're absolutely right to question that. The key here is portion size and composition. We're not talking about a large meal that will spike your blood sugar and interfere with sleep. This is a carefully balanced, small serving that provides nutrients without overloading your digestive system. The healthy fats from the walnuts and yogurt actually help slow down the release of nutrients into your bloodstream, meaning they'll be available throughout the night when your eyes need them most. If you're still watching and finding this information valuable, comment 1 below to show me you're following along. It helps me know that this content is reaching people who need it. But if you think that's impressive, wait until you hear what happened with Mr. James, a 75-year-old retired pilot. Now, for a pilot, vision isn't just important, it's everything. James had maintained his pilot's license well into his 70s, something he was incredibly proud of. But during his last medical exam, the aviation doctor expressed concerns about his contrast sensitivity and night vision. James was devastated. Flying had been his passion for over 50 years. He came to my office not asking if I could help him, but begging me to help him. He said, "Dr. Brooks, flying isn't just a hobby for me. It's who I am. If I lose this, I lose a part of myself." I was moved by his desperation, and I knew I had to be honest with him. I explained that while I couldn't make promises, there was emerging evidence that targeted nutritional intervention, especially timed around sleep cycles, could potentially improve certain aspects of visual function. James started the bedtime nutrition protocol I've been describing to you, but he took it even further. He eliminated alcohol in the evenings, which is crucial because alcohol interferes with the absorption of these vital nutrients. He also started doing gentle eye exercises before bed, which I'll touch on in a moment. 3 months later, James came back for a follow-up exam. I'll never forget the look on his face when I finished testing his contrast sensitivity. It had improved measurably. His night vision, while not perfect, had stabilized and even shown slight improvement. He was able to pass his aviation medical exam, and the last I heard from him, he was still flying regularly. He told me, and I quote, "You gave me back my wings, Dr. Brooks. I thought my flying days were over, but this simple change saved something that means the world to me. Now let me explain the science behind why this works so powerfully. Your retina contains the highest concentration of omega-3 fatty acids of any tissue in your body. These fatty acids are structural components of the cell membranes in your photoreceptor cells, the cells that actually detect light. When you don't have adequate omega-3 levels, these cell membranes become rigid and less efficient. It's like trying to work with stiff, inflexible materials instead of supple, adaptable ones. By providing omega-3s right before bed, you're ensuring that during the overnight repair process, your body has the building blocks it needs to maintain and repair these critical cell membranes. Lutein and zeaxanthin work differently, but are equally important. These carotenoids accumulate specifically in your macula, the central part of your retina responsible for detailed, sharp vision. They act like internal sunglasses, filtering out harmful blue light and neutralizing free radicals before they can damage your delicate retinal cells. But here's the thing most people don't realize. These nutrients aren't produced by your body. You must get them from food, and they need to be consistently available. By consuming them before bed, you're creating a steady supply during those critical nighttime hours when your eyes are most vulnerable to oxidative damage. The anthocyanins from berries have a particularly fascinating effect. They improve the function of the tiny capillaries that supply blood to your retina. Better blood flow means better oxygen delivery, better nutrient delivery, and more efficient removal of metabolic waste. It's like upgrading from a narrow, congested road to a wide, clear highway. Everything moves more efficiently. Let me share another patient story with you, because I think this one will resonate with many of you watching. Mrs. Eleanor was a 69-year-old woman who loved to paint. She'd been an artist her entire adult life, creating beautiful watercolor landscapes that she'd sell at local art markets. But over the course of about 18 months, she noticed her color perception was changing. Blues and greens were becoming harder to distinguish. Fine details that she used to paint effortlessly were now frustratingly difficult. She thought she was losing her artistic ability, that maybe her talent was fading with age. She became depressed, stopped painting, and withdrew from her art community. Her daughter practically dragged her to my office. When I examined Eleanor's eyes, I found early cataracts, which was expected at her age, but I also found significant macular thinning and reduced pigment density. I explained to Eleanor that her artistic ability hadn't disappeared. Her eyes simply weren't receiving and processing color information as effectively as they once did. I introduced her to the bedtime nutrition protocol, and I also recommended she increase her daytime intake of colorful vegetables, which provide additional carotenoids. Eleanor was hesitant at first. She told me, "Doctor, I've tried supplements before and they never made any difference. Why would food work any better?" I explained to her that whole foods contain not just the primary nutrients we're targeting, but hundreds of other compounds that work synergistically. They enhance absorption, improve utilization, and provide benefits we're only beginning to understand. Supplements can be helpful, but they can't fully replicate the complexity of real food. 3 months later, Eleanor returned to my office with several paintings she'd recently completed. She had tears in her eyes when she showed them to me. She said, "Dr. Brooks, look at the colors. I can see them again. I can distinguish the subtle differences between shades that had all blurred together. I have my art back. You have no idea what this means to me." That moment reminded me why I became a doctor in the first place. It's not always about preventing blindness or treating serious disease. Sometimes it's about giving people back the things that make life worth living. Now let me address something that I know some of you are thinking. You're wondering if this really works, or if it's just placebo effect. That's a fair question, and it's one I've asked myself many times throughout my career. Here's what I can tell you based on my clinical experience and the measurable outcomes I've seen in my patients. When we do follow-up testing, using objective measures like macular pigment optical density, contrast sensitivity testing, and retinal imaging, we see real measurable improvements in a significant percentage of patients who follow this protocol consistently. Is it a miracle cure? Absolutely not. Will it reverse severe macular degeneration or cure glaucoma? No, it won't. But can it slow the progression of age-related vision decline? Can it improve visual function in people with early-stage problems? Can it enhance overall eye health and resilience? Based on what I've seen over years of recommending this approach, yes, it absolutely can. But here's the critical part that I need you to understand. Consistency is everything. Doing this once or twice won't change anything. Your eyes need these nutrients available night after night, week after week, month after month. Think of it like watering a plant. Watering it once won't keep it alive, but water it regularly, give it the nutrients it needs, and it will thrive. Your eyes are no different. Let me also talk about what not to do, because I've seen patients make mistakes that undermine their results. First, don't consume this bedtime snack, and then immediately go to bed. Your body needs time to begin digesting and absorbing these nutrients. Aim for 30 to 45 minutes before you actually lie down. Second, don't combine this with alcohol. I mentioned this earlier with James, the pilot, but it bears repeating. Alcohol interferes with nutrient absorption and also disrupts the deep sleep stages when your eyes do their most important repair work. Third, don't make the portions too large. Remember, this is a targeted nutritional intervention, not a meal. Keep it light. Also, avoid combining this with refined sugars or processed carbohydrates. If you add sweetened yogurt or sugary granola, you're spiking your blood sugar right before bed, which will disrupt sleep and actually increase oxidative stress. Keep it simple and natural. Another critical point is hydration. Your eyes need adequate hydration to function properly. The tear film that protects your cornea, the vitreous gel that fills your eye, the blood that flows through your retinal vessels, all of this requires proper hydration. Make sure you're drinking enough water throughout the day, but taper off in the evening so you're not waking up multiple times during the night to use the bathroom, which would disrupt those critical sleep cycles. Let me tell you about Mr. Thomas, a 79-year-old retired engineer. Thomas was one of my most challenging cases, not because his condition was so severe, but because he was so skeptical. Engineers want to see data, they want to understand mechanisms, they want proof. Thomas came to me because his wife insisted after she'd heard about my approach from a friend. His main complaint was difficulty reading in dim lighting. He needed increasingly bright lights to see clearly, and even then, he struggled. I spent over an hour with Thomas during that first visit, explaining the biochemistry, the cellular mechanisms, the physiological rationale. He peppered me with questions, challenged my explanations, demanded to know why this wasn't standard medical practice if it worked so well. I appreciated his skepticism. I told him, "Thomas, I can't prove to you that this will work for your specific situation. What I can tell you is that in my clinical experience, about 70 to 80% of patients who follow this protocol consistently report subjective improvement, and about 50 to 60% show objective, measurable improvements. Whether you'll be in that group, I can't guarantee. But the risk is virtually zero, the cost is minimal, and the potential benefit is significant. What do you have to lose?" Thomas agreed to try it for 3 months. But true to his engineering nature, he kept detailed logs. He recorded his bedtime snack composition every night, he noted his subjective vision quality every morning, and he even purchased a home contrast sensitivity testing app to track objective changes. When he came back for his 3-month follow-up, he brought printed graphs and spreadsheets. His objective measurements showed modest but consistent improvement. His subjective reports showed more significant improvement. He told me, "Dr. Brooks, I went into this thinking it was probably nonsense. But the data doesn't lie. Something is definitely changing. I can read in lighting that was impossible for me 3 months ago. I'm not saying you've worked a miracle, but you've definitely made a measurable difference." Thomas became one of my most enthusiastic advocates. He started telling all his friends about it, bringing them to my office, even giving presentations at his retirement community about eye health and nutrition. It taught me an important lesson. Some people need emotional appeals, stories of hope and transformation. Other people need data, mechanisms, logical explanations. Both approaches are valid, and I try to provide both. Now let's talk about some additional strategies that can enhance the benefits of this bedtime nutrition protocol. First, eye exercises. I'm not talking about anything complicated or time-consuming. Simple techniques like the 20-20-20 rule, which means every 20 minutes, look at something 20 feet away for 20 seconds. This reduces eye strain and helps maintain the flexibility of the muscles that control your lens. Before bed, try gentle eye movements. Look up, down, left, right, and in circles. This stimulates blood flow to the eye muscles and surrounding tissues. Second, reduce blue light exposure in the evening. The screens on your phone, tablet, and computer emit blue light that can interfere with your sleep cycle and also contribute to retinal oxidative stress. Starting about 2 hours before bed, either reduce screen time or use blue light filtering glasses or apps that reduce blue light emission. This simple change can significantly improve both your sleep quality and your eye health. Third, maintain consistent sleep schedules. Your body's repair mechanisms work best when you have consistent, predictable sleep patterns. Going to bed at wildly different times disrupts these natural rhythms and reduces the efficiency of overnight cellular repair. Try to go to bed and wake up at roughly the same times every day, even on weekends. Fourth, manage your overall health. Conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol all affect your eye health. The tiny blood vessels in your eyes are often the first to show damage from these systemic conditions. Work with your primary care physician to keep these conditions under control. The bedtime nutrition protocol I've been describing will be much more effective if your overall metabolic health is optimized. Let me share one final patient story with you, and this one is particularly close to my heart. Mrs. Dorothy was an 83-year-old widow who lived alone. She came to my office brought by a concerned neighbor who'd noticed Dorothy stumbling and bumping into things. Dorothy's vision had deteriorated to the point where she was afraid to leave her house. She'd stopped going to her weekly card games, she'd given up her volunteer work at the local library, and she was becoming increasingly isolated and depressed. When I examined Dorothy, I found advanced cataracts in both eyes, along with moderate macular degeneration. I explained to her that she would benefit from cataract surgery, which we scheduled, but I also introduced her to the bedtime nutrition protocol to help protect her macula and optimize her visual recovery after surgery. Dorothy was lonely, and I think she appreciated having someone take time to talk with her about her health. She asked me question after question, and I answered everyone patiently. After her cataract surgery, which was successful, Dorothy faithfully followed the nutrition protocol. But she did something else that I found incredibly touching. She started calling my office every couple of weeks just to give me updates. She told my receptionist about the books she was reading, the card games she'd returned to, the new friends she'd made at a local senior center. 6 months after her surgery, she came in for a routine follow-up, and she brought me a handwritten thank you note. In it, she wrote, "Dr. Brooks, you didn't just improve my vision, you gave me back my independence and my joy. I wake up every morning grateful for another day of clear sight. Thank you for caring enough to share this knowledge with me." That note is framed in my office, and I look at it whenever I have a difficult day or when I'm tempted to take shortcuts. It reminds me that what we do as healthcare providers matters profoundly in people's lives. So let me bring all of this together for you. If you're over 60 and you're concerned about maintaining your vision, or if you've already noticed some age-related changes, here's what you need to do. Starting tonight, 45 minutes before bed, prepare a small serving that includes dark leafy greens, walnuts, or another source of omega-3 fatty acids, berries rich in anthocyanins, and a small amount of Greek yogurt or a plant-based alternative. Keep the portions small and the ingredients natural. Do this consistently, every single night. Don't skip days. Don't convince yourself it doesn't matter. Consistency is what creates results. Combine this bedtime nutrition with other healthy eye practices. Reduce blue light exposure in the evening. Stay hydrated throughout the day. Maintain regular sleep schedules. Manage your overall health. And most importantly, see your eye doctor regularly for comprehensive exams. Early detection of problems is crucial for successful treatment. I also want to emphasize something I've mentioned several times but can't stress enough. This protocol is not a replacement for medical care. If you have diabetes, glaucoma, macular degeneration, or any other eye condition, you must continue seeing your ophthalmologist regularly and following their treatment recommendations. What I'm sharing with you today is complementary care, something that can work alongside conventional medical treatment to optimize your outcomes. Will this work for everyone? No, and I would never make that claim. Individual responses vary based on genetics, overall health status, the severity of existing problems, and many other factors. But will it work for many people? Based on my years of clinical experience and the hundreds of patients I've guided through this protocol, yes, absolutely. The human body has remarkable regenerative capacities when given the right support. Your eyes are resilient, adaptive organs that can often recover and improve when provided with the nutrients and conditions they need. Don't underestimate your body's ability to heal and strengthen itself. Age-related decline is not inevitable or irreversible in many cases. With the right approach, you can maintain and even improve your vision well into your later years. I want you to imagine something for a moment. Imagine being able to read your favorite books without strain. Imagine seeing your grandchildren's faces clearly, noticing every smile, every expression. Imagine feeling confident driving at night, not fearful of oncoming headlights. Imagine pursuing hobbies you love without frustration or limitation. Imagine maintaining your independence and quality of life as you age. All of this is possible for many people with the right approach to eye health. Before we finish, I want to remind you one more time. If you found this information valuable, please subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future videos. Leave your questions and comments below. I read every single one and use them to guide the content I create. Your engagement helps me reach more people who need this information. And please share this video with anyone you know who's over 60 or who's concerned about their vision. This information could genuinely change someone's life, just as it changed the lives of Robert, Patricia, James, Eleanor, Thomas, and Dorothy. Knowledge is powerful, but only when it's shared and applied. Remember, your eyes are precious. They're your windows to the world, your connection to the beauty and wonder around you. They deserve to be cared for, nourished, and protected. Starting tonight, you have the power to make a difference in your eye health. You have the knowledge you need. Now you just need to take action. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, take care of those eyes. They're the only pair you'll ever have.